Let's go. We are here live in the basement of the WCPT 820 AM studios. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, here on the Sports Cubicle, and it is going to be a jam-packed edition of the show. I am here with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. You'll be hearing from Paul Chivari and Devin Tingle throughout the next hour. But Marver, we are starting this edition the only way we know how. It is gut check time for a lot of teams in the NBA. And one name in particular has been bounced, and his future is now in question. A little later on today, I will be talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo and why it is a fallacy to believe the Chicago Bulls will be in on the Greek Freak. But Marver, I want to talk to you about something that happened in the West Coast. LeBron James, at the young age of 40, bounced by the new assassin of the NBA, Anthony Edwards, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. As of this recording, we have a game 7 between Joker and Kawhi, the Nuggets and the Clippers. There is a lot of good basketball going on. There's a lot of exciting basketball going on. Where do you want to start off? Let's start off with the Lakers and Timberwolves. What did you see after that series ended? LeBron James had a tough fourth quarter. You could see a lot of moments that his age caught up to him, but even with saying all that, he is still one of the greatest to ever do it. He still had a chance to make a lot of noise. It was a team that was undersized, made a big trade, might be a year early. All that being said, a team with Luka Doncic and LeBron James got bounced pretty early in the first round. Your thoughts?
Well, I thought with Doncic they would go a little further. In terms of James, I can't see him leaving in these terms with a first round loss. It just doesn't seem in character for him to do that. So I would expect him to return next year at the young age of 41. But I mean, it's not like he seems washed up or anything.
Nope.
He's still physically fit, and he just moves people out of his way with his physicality. So it's not like he's over the hill or anything. His style of play requires physicality, and it doesn't look like he's lost too much in that. His shooting, is what it has been. I mean, he's not a long range bomber or anything, and he can hit the 12, 15 footer still. And I thought that the guy in the middle would help him out and give him some more opportunities, but maybe they need a little bit more than just the two of them to to go to the next round because they were the sixth seed, which isn't all that impressive, honestly. And the Minnesota was the higher seed, and in that case, form held. No, I mean the younger team, obviously Edwards and such, it probably made a difference, but um, I, I I just don't think he's going to quit on these terms. How about you?
I'm not sure. I mean, if we're looking at the match you mentioned, the Lakers are 3 seed, the Timberwolves is 6 seed. Rudy Gobert really went off, and there were a lot of moments that they were just attacking the middle, and there was nothing the Lakers can do. And we saw JJ Redick playing his starters crazy minutes. I think it was 24 straight minutes. And that a lot of also had to do with the roster didn't have as much depth as you think it would. And that's partly because you have two $50 million players, or soon to be two $50 million players. I think LeBron is beyond good. I think he's still great, even at his age. It's going to be, it's going to take creativity and patience if you're a Lakers fan or a LeBron fan, because he's going to need to take care of his body. He's going to need time off. He's not going to be Superman like he was before, but there is still some Kryptonian in that alien, so he can do very special things. That is the specialty of LeBron James. Where it becomes interesting is this is the first time, not in LeBron's history, not in a disputed talent where it was like with the Miami Heat. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is not his team. It was his team the first time around in Cleveland because it wasn't Eric Snow. It was his team though. It was his team in Miami, even though there was Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And it was his team when it was Kyrie. This is Luka's team. He's the kid in the mid-20s who's going to get the new contract, who is considered one of the faces of the NBA, does special things on offense, can do special things for your organization. So LeBron's in an interesting spot that I don't think we've ever seen him before, where he is not the man, but he's such an integral part of that franchise, such an integral part of the entire NBA. So I don't think this is the end for him. And I do think if his youngest son is ready to get in the NBA and has legit aspirations and talent, he might hold off. But this goes beyond NBA titles, I think, for LeBron. I think LeBron's goal now is to break every record for his farewell tour to be. Look at how gracious he is. Look at how important he was for the NBA. Look what
Mhm.
he's doing at 41. Nobody at 41 has ever had a triple double, a double double, drop 40 points, drop 30 points, has made a playoff. He can do all those things without ever winning a championship and have something over other players that are on his clout, that are on his level. So I think LeBron has a very interesting path. Whether you're a LeBron hater or a LeBron lover, you could see very interesting things in his future. But that is just one of the main stories. We're
Mhm.
seeing a 3-2 series as of this recording between the Warriors and the Rockets. And the Warriors will play out Jimmy, a new look team, one last hurrah for maybe this Warriors team in this version of this core. Not too much time on this, but I find Draymond Green interesting because you listen to NBA players like Kenyon Martin or some of these guys on Gil's Arenas, and they mention it how like even they think Draymond needs to cool off a little bit. He needs to chill out. But here's the thing: I think we all can agree on this. It rattles a young team like Houston. Houston has some really nice players. Houston's going to be a very dangerous team if they stay healthy over the next 5 years. But right now, they're going against a venture like Draymond, who constantly gets them in foul trouble, is constantly getting them rattled, is constantly getting the emotions ramped up high. So while I might find it annoying, you might find it annoying, our entire audience might find it unpleasing basketball. It works, right?
It does work, and it's worked for. I mean, for a number of years, he is on the verge of being thrown out of almost every fifth game, and it's just his thing, and it's worked to their advantage. Whether it will with this current team remains to be seen. But I was thinking one place. This hit me. One place where LeBron could be the man on a major media market would be Chicago. But
So, yeah, later on in this edition of the Sports
yeah,
Cubicle, you will hear my thesis of why
yeah,
Giannis and Fanis and
yeah.
none of these guys will be in the Bulls.
Yeah.
Continue, Marver.
But in terms of, I mean, the top seeds in the West, I mean, some of the old familiar names. I mean, Oklahoma City won, Houston two. So, I mean, that's a change of the guard right there. So we're seeing some new faces, some new teams. And it's kind of like getting towards the end of the line for Curry and LeBron, honestly, as potential NBA champions. So th that's definitely a factor. And it's interesting because I think the NBA would like to see them continue for ratings, but that's neither here nor there. In terms of what's happening out west, I mean, Denver is a strong team with the Joker, and so they could go on. But in terms of that Golden State Houston series, I mean, Golden State, I mean, when we're airing, they could have been on to the next round because Game 6 is in San Francisco as we're speaking right now, and so we'll see what happens there. But it would be good for the NBA in terms of media to have Golden State advance, but. Yeah, Houston's a very strong team, and they may end up winning the thing in seven at home, but we'll see.
I love the Western Conference. I mean, like you're mentioning, as of this recording, we will see if we get a game 7 or if the Warriors are moving on. And here's your prize, Steph Curry. It's Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So not an easy way to get to the conference finals if you're Golden State. And for the Timberwolves, another matchup possibly to show that you are a true contender. And if you play Houston, what a fun matchup of the future between the Rockets and the Timberwolves. And on the other side of that bracket, you have the Thunder, obviously SGA, probably going to the MVP, has a chance to take on the reigning defending MVP and Joker if the Nuggets move on. And the Clippers, if the Clippers move on, this is a team that can win the NBA Finals, I think, in the LA Clippers. And what a matchup that would be between the Thunder and Clippers itself in a conference semifinals. But we are here breaking down the NBA playoffs as we are inching ever so closely to a summer classic in the NBA here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I am here with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. And Marver, really fast, why don't we go to the Eastern Conference semifinals that have now been set? We have the
Chalk.
yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 1 seed, the 4 seed, the Indiana Pacers, and in the other bracket, the number 3 seed, New York Knicks, taking on the number 2 seed, Boston Celtics. Oh my God. You talk
Yeah.
about when I think about classic 90s basketball, I think about, and I wish the Bulls were here and some
Yeah.
other teams, but Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, Celtics, these are some of the best teams, some of the best players, some of the
Hmm.
best basketball you're going to watch are on these conference semifinals. I am so excited for this. And the simple idea that we might get a Cavaliers Celtics conference finals and maybe seeing a NBA finals that has the Cavaliers versus like the Thunder,
Hmm.
the NBA's worst nightmare, but sickos like you and me who just love basketball would be a dream come true.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Eastern Conference so far?
In terms of media markets, Cleveland and Oklahoma City aren't their favorites, of course, but
No.
you look at Boston, New York. I mean, those of you that saw a delicious game on Thursday night between the Knicks and Detroit. I mean, that was classic basketball. I mean, the Detroit came from behind and they went on like a 9-1 run, and it looks like they had the game in hand. And this young man from Stevenson High School, I remember watching all the way through Villanova. I never thought he'd be, easy 30-point plus a game man, and the man that would have the ball down the stretch and everybody would know it. And he was off a little bit, but he managed to hit the dagger when it counted, and Jalen Brunson, of course. So it's they're on, but Boston obviously has more weapons, and Detroit did everything they could to throw it. I mean, the defense was unbelievable. They were like, they had their hands inside his jersey, so to speak. So it was pretty amazing. And Detroit did everything they could in that series, and they came up short. But the other ones were not quite as close, actually, in terms of Cleveland and Boston advancing, and Indiana for that matter. So I think the top in this case, the top four seeds were well deserved as to moving on. And I'm not so sure that we're going to end up with the top four seeds in the West, but that remains to be seen as of this taping.
I love that the NBA has so many stars right now.
Yeah.
And this is what frustrates me. And this is part of my thesis on the back half of the show. That if
Hmm.
you're listening to us in the future, you'll understand. And Marv, I just want to run it through you. It's
Hmm.
right now is a chance to strike while the iron's hot.
Hmm.
You have a chance right now if you have enough assets, enough creativity, a front office that is not only competent but forward thinking enough to try to land a big star, to try to build a team that contend. Right now is an opportunity for so many different organizations to try to become true contenders for a Larry O'Brien trophy. Right now, it more than almost any time in modern day NBA history, anybody can win the NBA finals. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about Washington, but
Yeah. There's always the exception to the rule.
save them, maybe anybody,
Yeah, yeah. The
and the
exception to the
Bulls, of
rule.
course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair
I
enough.
know. I mean, anybody in the top six, I'd say perhaps
Yeah.
would have are in play for that, for sure.
But
Yeah.
for sure. But Marver, as we wrap, we got a busy show today. A bunch of stuff, all really good stuff that people are gonna sink their teeth into. But I kind of want to give you the final thought as we head into the real grind of the NBA playoffs, where every game has mattered already. But as these rounds continue to go on, these games start to count down. We get so much closer to conference finals and the NBA finals. Every possession matters. What are you most
Yeah.
excited about over these next few rounds, these next few games of the NBA playoffs?
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot more of the Eastern teams, honestly, than the Western. Maybe it's past my bedtime. I don't know, but but I think Boston to repeat, it's going to be a challenge. Definitely, they have to, go through New York, which will be a challenge, and then either Indiana or Cleveland. So it's going to be no easy road to repeat. And out West, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know if at the moment if Denver can get to the conference finals or not, but Oklahoma City, I mean, it looked like they were playing a high school team when they played Memphis. I think at one point they were ahead by 70 points in one of those games. I mean, Oklahoma City looks very strong, and they're well rested now, of course. So I think that they will do well. I mean, I think they're head and shoulders above the other teams in the West in terms of what their record was this year, their consistency. So, and they play excellent defense. They look like they were strong in all phases of the game, at least against Memphis. But it's gonna be a tough match for whoever faces them. in the next round, obviously, and so that's just going to be what's going to happen. Minnesota, another young team that has a chance, so we'll keep an eye on them. So Minnesota and Oklahoma City, they may end up playing each other. You never know, and that would be another nightmare for another two small markets. But at the moment, there's the new stars emerging, and time marches on, and some of the graybeards will be fading before too long. But I think it's nice to see that the Curry and the LeBron and Draymond and some of the others brings back pleasant memories. It does nothing goes on even like the big three in tennis, your Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal. I mean, the time marches on. You get to be the magic age of 40 if you lasted that long in sports. I mean, that you're pretty lucky.
And it allows you to enjoy watching the passing of the guard, and you
Yeah.
get to see special things. You get to see the old man or the old lady take on the young buck
Yeah.
or the new young kid, and they're able to take them out. And it's something that makes for great stories. And sometimes the great, tennis player on the man or women's side gets overtaken by the young stud or the young lady. And that's a great story in itself. I think as of right now, my NBA finals is OKC and Boston. I think OKC is the better team. I think they're the more talented team, and that's saying a lot. I think obviously, as great as Boston is, the one thing Boston can do that any other team is, no matter how Boston is playing any given night, if they're making their threes, they're nearly impossible to beat. You can beat OKC with their athleticism, as athletic as they are, as great as they are at scoring, and they can play defense, all that.
Mhm.
Nobody's stopping the Boston Celtics if they have a high percentage of threes made. It is what it is. I can't tell you what alchemy they're working on, but I'm going with OKC to win the NBA Finals.
Mhm.
Marver, who
Yeah.
wins the NBA Finals? That's it right now.
I don't know. I mean, Boston is very strong and they have a lot of depth. I think the addition of Drew Holiday has been very helpful to them as well. And
Mm-hmm.
they get paid him, and they have the players that have been there for a little while. So I mean, they've been tested. I think they will get by New York. And I think they'll get by either, Cleveland or Indiana too. So I like them in the finals. And Oklahoma City, I don't know. They will see a different kind of team out of the East. The West plays a little different kind of ball in general than the Eastern team. So they may they may have a little trouble with Boston. There'll be a little bit more defense, I think, than they see out West. So, and that's historically been the case. I remember in the old days they'd have like 150, 130 games out West. It isn't quite like that anymore. But it was like the Toreador defense. But
Shout out Mike D'Antoni.
yeah, right. So yeah, I like your idea of Boston and OKC. Yeah, but I like Boston to repeat.
And we'll be here to cover it all, good and bad, any news that breaks, of superstar moves, or if we just get awesome NBA playoff games. We're your home to cover it and break it all down here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, WSBC 1240 AM, and HeartlandSignal.com. Make sure you like us all over the universe. We're on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. Make sure you subscribe us over there as well. And wherever you get your favorite podcast at Sports from the Couch. For the marvelous one, Dan Marver, I'm Mike Mercado. We keep this show rolling here on the Sports Cubicle on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago.